Clayton there in lane 5. God bless got away well, but now Clayton's well into a running. Jackson's got something to do, but it's going to be Clayton who's running away from the field, and she's won this in emphatic fashion.
You can follow her progress on Nationwide 90 FM. That was the World Championships Athletes Profile.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our during Nationwide this morning at 6:51 a.m.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Oh, it's a win-win when we use Multilink. This car is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy. Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network. Multilink, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
J. Lewis, good afternoon to you, Ricardo, and good afternoon to our listeners. How are you?
I'm tired. How are you?
The same. But I understand why you're tired after yesterday and all of what took place, yeah?
Yes.
And that's will be our cover story. Well, let
me just tell the listeners, because I see the complaints and I've been getting the messages. If you are indeed hearing an echo sound or your sound's distorted, it's as a result of the lightning strike yesterday, and we are working to resolve the issue. So we are aware that the audio may sound a bit distorted. We're working on resolving it. Sanjay?
Indeed. Well, he's done it. Dr. Andrew Michael Holness on Wednesday led the governing Jamaica Labour Party to a historic third term in government. He's the second Jamaican Prime Minister to achieve this feat. George Davis has that story.
At 53 years old, Dr. Andrew Michael Holness has achieved political greatness. He becomes the first leader of the 82-year-old Jamaica Labour Party to be given a third mandate by the Jamaican people. He's only the second Jamaican Prime Minister to achieve the feat, drawing level with P.J. Patterson's achievement sealed in the 2002 general election. Dr. Holness and Patterson also share the distinction of being sworn in as Prime Minister 4 times. Like Patterson in 1992, who was sworn in after Michael Manley retired, Dr. Holness was sworn in for the first time in 2011 when Bruce Golding resigned. In Parliament for the first people of West Central St. Andrew for 6 consecutive terms. On Wednesday, he secured a 7th term in the seat and his 3rd as Prime Minister. Dr. Holness is unique in that he beat Portia Simpson Miller in 2016, Dr. Peter Phillips in 2020, and now Mark Golding in 2025. No other party leader has beaten as many different rivals. All 3 of P.J. Patterson's election wins came at the expense of Edward Seaga. For the 2025 general election, Dr. Holness battled 2 years of incessant, coordinated personal attacks. The PNP saw too, and it did cause serious damage to Dr. Holness's integrity, leaving many to conclude that he was unfit for office. But even more people saw the attacks as a cynical attempt, aided and abetted by certain state actors, to discredit a man who embodied the Jamaican dream. For the record, not a single allegation against the Prime Minister has been proven. None have criminal charge from any entity. Despite what can be dubbed as campaign discredit integrity, Holness soldiered on, focused on drawing the attention of the Jamaican people to the achievements of his administration since 2016. Driving across the island on a punishing schedule, Dr. Holness spoke of water, he spoke of roads, housing, and the economy. He also spoke about how much his administration has done to reduce major crime and the fear of crime. The result on Wednesday proves the messages resonated. Armed with a third mandate, Dr. Holness can stand taller than his 6'2" height. He has survived the anti-incumbency wave that has swept several world leaders from office since the COVID pandemic. Dr. Holness presented a simple choice to the Jamaican people ahead of Wednesday's election: performance or promises. The Prime Minister and his governing JLP also asked the voters to choose Jamaica. Based on the results, Jamaicans have chosen performance and have chosen Jamaica. With those choices, they have added texture, depth, and several paragraphs to chapter Andrew Holness in the book about Jamaica. George Davis for Nationwide News.
In the meantime, the Prime Minister thanked voters for choosing Jamaica. He was addressing jubilant Labourites at the JLP's Belmont Road headquarters on Wednesday.
Jamaica won this election. Yes, the majority of voters decided to choose Jamaica. Make no mistake about it. This was not victory by default. Make no mistake about it. This was not an easy victory. Make no mistake about it. This was a fight, but we did not descend my political organization. We did not descend to the gutter to fight. We did not seek to trick the people to win. We did not seek to tear down anyone to lift up ourselves. We did not seek to tear down Jamaica in order to be able to administer the affairs.
That's Prime Minister and JLP leader Dr. Andrew Holness. And opposition leader Mark Golding was gracious in defeat on Wednesday night. Addressing PNP supporters at the party's headquarters on Old Hope Road late last night, Golding said, while disappointed, democracy demands his concession.
First of all, I think it's my duty as a believer in democracy to acknowledge and concede the result and to congratulate our opponents, Jamaica Labour Party, for their victory tonight. Jamaica's democracy is important and we must cherish it. Sometimes it brings bitter disappointments. Sometimes those disappointments are laced with a tinge of a sense of not all is fair and just, but it is very, very important that we put democracy ahead of all of those feelings. And I accept the result of these elections, and although obviously I'm very disappointed in the outcome, I think it is only correct to expressly acknowledge the success that our opponents have managed to gain today.
And that's Mark Golding. He is the PNP president. Well, joining us to discuss further is the JLP's General Secretary, Dr. Horace Chang. Good afternoon, Dr. Chang.
Good afternoon. Now, we're trying to make contact with Dr. Chang, the JLP's General Secretary. And based on last night's results, one of the most successful general secretaries in this country's history, because he would have led the Jamaica Labour Party to 3 consecutive election victories. And I did a quick check, and I could not find another general secretary who has achieved a similar feat. Indeed. Of course, Chang.
Are you hearing now?
Dr. Chang, yes, hearing you now.
Yes, I'm hearing you. Good.
Well, Dr. Chang, let me ask you directly.
I'm on the telephone and therefore somebody kept calling in. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Were the results we saw last night consistent with what your party's canvassing data and ground intelligence had been shown in the lead up to the general election?
Relatively close. We had a 35% minimum, and that there'd be a number of marginal seats out which you'd get some. We didn't get any of them, but they remain marginal. We'll be in court with that. We'll be going for the final count for 4 seats, and we'll see what comes out of those. At least 2 of them I'd like to have at least a magisterial or some other kind of, judicial review, whatever is required to do it. I think magisterial reform is logical follow-up from them, but the law will decide how they approach it. But there are 2 seats we lost by less than 20. I think 11 and 12 for the southeast area and the central Kingston seats. We'll have to look as close at those 2 as close as possible. So we would have had 35, we said minimum 35, we got 34. That's not a bad evaluation.
And you came into the race, Dr. Chang, with a coordinated PNP approach where the ground support, they had the ground support. Looking back, is it that the JLP didn't do enough of the groundwork that was needed in order to get more seats at the polls?
Oh, this is a 3rd-term election. The PNP had been campaigning for 4 years. The moment they changed leadership and elected the current leader, they went on the ground. One was designed to be an exposure of the new leader, and then they went on to a number of other things. They've been campaigning for 4 years. Our party workers work together. They are loyal, but they would not have put in that level of work while we are busy in government or while we're involved in government. It's something that any Democratic Party faces when you're in government. But we have to pursue our government programs, and this is and that we did well. And then we, at an appropriate time, not only introduce, but remind the people what we are doing and explain in more thoroughly. Of course, when you're in government, you take the opportunity to do so. But many constituents do not necessarily relate that activity. The populist activities, road work, water and so forth, get good mileage in the constituency. But you somehow have to find the time to put that in the framework that will impact the wider public and to remind the country what they're doing. And of course we did that, and we had 3 years in the COVID period, so it really took off over the last 18 months. And then we moved into a phase of formally identifying the work we had done, and before we went into more detailed campaign mode. But during that time too, we also, revitalized our workforce. The Jamaica Labour Party work team, they're very loyal. They're always there. They went through 18 years of the opposition government. So we are very comfortable with the worker care that we have.
Dr. Chang? All right, let's take a break. And
what we did enter piece we call the motivational sessions, and that was key to our success.
All right, hold it there for us, Dr. Chang. We're up on the break. Let's take the break and come back with more.
All right, good.
Clear your barrels and personal shipments with ease and convenience. Request a customs contactless clearance today through CCP at jca.gov.jm. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:48.
Bird Shack fried chicken always ready. Original crispy. Bird Shack, Cajun spicy. Bird Shack, a barbecue. Bird Shack, we are the Bird Shack.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Kingston, Montego Bay, and Ocho Rios is...
It's 30 degrees Celsius here in Kingston, 32 out west in Montego Bay.
We a big deal when we touch ground. Yeah, I can't see when we're pulling up. Anything for the taste what we love. Barbecue spicy and original, flavorful, crispy, irresistible. 3-piece with the fries and a Pepsi. Go get your one big deal, stop stress me. All when we dip on the toilet, no left foot. It's a big deal.
Anything for the taste of a juicy, crunchy, irresistible KFC big deal. 3 pieces of delicious chicken, fries and Pepsi. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. It's the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
My name is Sanjay Lewis.
And we have with us the JLP's General Secretary, Dr. Horace Chang, assessing the historic victory the party achieved at yesterday's general election. Now, Dr. Chang, on Tuesday, you were with myself and Cliff, and we asked you which seats you thought, could turn up a surprise or, a shock victory. And you did say Tova Hamilton in North Trelawney and Rhoda Moy Crawford in Central Manchester. And so said, so done. And I want to ask you, and you didn't even hesitate. I remember when you were asked the question, you didn't even hesitate. So I want to ask you, what gave you that level of confidence? Because the betting people would say those seats should have gone back.
They've been betting people. I've been saying so for a long time, and I've been saying otherwise. I know the two candidates. They are hardworking, they're honest, and they mobilize their workers effectively and decisively. One is a little bit more decisive in the sense that if you have this, sometimes she gets a bad name for being too decisive. If you're not working at her speed, then you're not insulted, but you leave it behind, so to speak. But both of them are very hardworking, energetic individuals, and they demonstrate to me that in the new Jamaican politics, if you are willing to apply yourself, engage your constituents, and provide leadership, you can have major changes. That is what those two candidates have demonstrated. And then in the time of near to the election, to organize your work teams effectively, and both of them did that very well. And went out of the way to, in fact, ensure they had the majority required. I had the privilege of working with both of them. North John is next door to St. James, and I've known Rhoda for some time. She was in the youth arm of the party, and she went to Manchester. And I've been in the constituency with her. They're both, as I said, just effective representatives, and that demonstrate a level of maturity in the supporters of the country. And, you have many candidates get caught down in fix this, that, fix that. Yes, you have to work, and they do work, but they get caught up in what I might call the transactional nature of politics, which exists, but is not as deep as they say. Because neither of the candidates were wealthy enough to buy an election. Mm-hmm. They did your hard work.
Mm-hmm. Eastern Portland, Dr. Chang, did that one caught you by surprise at Marie Vaz?
Yes, it did. So it caught me by surprise, and a bit saddened for the loss for Anne-Marie Vaz, because she too works hard and spends time. I will have to maybe work with her to look at what might have gone wrong. But it's also a more staid PNP seat than the other two. They have. Yes. Well, it's rural, and then what I'd say here is urban seats, even if they're strong one party or other, you get effective work in them. They move as a block, so they'll move to you or from you. Rural seats, it's difficult to move them like that. They scattered over wide here, and it's the political belief is almost like a semi-religious. They just move from one party. It's part of their life, and to say, I'll change now or change then, it's difficult. You have to really be deeply engaged and spend time. I mean, I had a constituency, a rural constituency. Western had about one seat, I recall, when we were going to the last election. And Carlstone is considered still one of the most credible native pollers. Yeah. And he said to me, Harrison, it was in the old days when they were independents, your opponent didn't lose their deposit. You are one of the most popular, well-liked person. My goodwill was over 70%. But they're not going to vote for you. They're going to vote for the party. So, it is that kind of impact I think might have been there. But it is one we'll have to analyze and work with Ms. Vaz to identify what is possible. The entire party is feeling upset. She was also a fine person. She worked well with her constituents, but she worked well in the organization. And she was quite what you mentioned, exuberant, pleasant personality. So she was well liked across, in fact, the whole country. In love with Mrs. Vaz. There's a lot of social media reaction to that loss. There's one person saying the Portlanders are most ungrateful. So, yeah, that was a surprise.
Mm. And let me take you west now, because the party lost the 3 seats in Westmoreland. You suffered, some heavy blows in Hanover as well. What went wrong in the organization out that side?
Well, Westmoreland is always a tough one. It's all a tough one, and though they had some hiccups themselves, we didn't get the kind of candidates who do the swing votes in there. And we have one new candidate came on who did pretty well, Mr. James Sobley, who was an aspiring candidate for the PNP. Westmoreland, of course, has some good base for the Labour Party, but he came a bit late with some concerns by the outgoing candidate which was in there. So that created a challenge, but he did very well. The other seats have some strong grounding in the PNP, which is always difficult to move. In the Eastern Bloc, we're getting some movement, and of course, they called on the former Prime Minister, distinguished Prime Minister, to just give a word of support, PJ Patson, and that's a very powerful lifeline in the seat that he was in the seat. So we had to face the political realities there. But we're not going to abandon Westmoreland. I think we did get some good results in various districts. And certainly we're going to fight to retain our base in there. And when the local government election come, we'll look at that. We'll have time to really analyze and reposition our workforce in that one.
One of the things I recognize with the People's National Party, Dr. Chang, is that they spend quite a large time in the constituency doing that groundwork, ensuring that individuals are registered who support the PNP from as early as 18 years old. Is it a case that the JLP doesn't have that established support on the ground to ensure that you're registering the known JLP people from very early so that you can have that ground support when an election is called?
Oh, that's standard operating procedure for political parties. Both political parties, I think. We have someone like the late Shani Robbins made the best illustration. She just enumerate voters continuously. It's part of the party operation. That's something we create an excitement about. Maybe we should, because the PNP does that. But that's what you do. In my own constituency yesterday, I was told that it's the first time we've had so many new voters voting for an established candidate. So it's something that is standard. I wouldn't say there's whether we do it well. Some people do it better than some, because it does take takes commitment and application. But if you have your foot soldiers, so to speak, your platoon commanders out on the road doing it, you have to monitor and work with them and ensure they keep the work going. But that's standard operation. And that's one of the things that we emphasize. And we emphasize internally, but it's not one that we advertise. Mm-hmm. And, as I said, this is the third term election. I'm looking at numbers. The turnout was 50% point something. Not bad. And we have 34 seats. And we have, I said, 4 or 5 seats which are very narrow. And that would be, for a third term election, a good election. And for a party that was, we're not only in government with all the problems we have to carry and the policy we have to execute, but remember that they were campaigning for 4 years. And opposition in a democracy has no responsibility except to campaign. Yeah. We had to work, we had to go there and campaign the performance, and we had to carry out the work to show that we deserve to be re-elected, and this we did. I think we did very well. We sent out our performance manual first, and I think that caught the ears and eyes of our people. We did it in a very special way, and I commend the campaign for that. When we went on the blitz across the island, and people started saying, well, we need to have this government stay in power.
I thought I heard you say the turnout was 50%. Dr.